Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and we are dealing with the topic of functions, and we are going to start with the most fundamental one, which is called the linear function. Now, linear comes from a line. As you can see here, there is line. That means it's a function that is a line. All right, so that linear function is in this form. It's y is equal to mx plus c, and then you all know that m is what? Is as a gradient, or some people call it a slope, and then c is a what? Is a y intercept. Right? So basically we are going to look at the linear function, and so by the end of the session you should know two things, nothing more. Number one, so you should know two things. Yes, so number one, given a line, given an equation or a function, given a function, how to plot what? The graph. That is one thing that you must get out of this lesson. And number two, given a graph, how to get a function. So guys, it's much more easier to learn when you see things in action. So what we're going to do is we are going to learn through an example, and then we'll take things from there. Let me repeat. There are two things. Number one, given a function, how to plot the graph. Let me put a question mark here. And then the second one is given a graph, how to get a function. Because those are the things that you are supposed to do when it comes to functions. So let's look at the first one. Now let's say plot y is equal to x minus 1. Here is a problem. You are supposed to plot y is equal to x minus 1. So how do you do this? Guys, when you are plotting linear functions, let me just write it down. Plotting linear functions. Guys, when you're plotting linear functions, there are only two things that you need to find, and then when you have found those things, then you are done. Number one, find y intercept. Okay, so how do you find y intercept? You find y intercept by letting x be equal to 0. Now let's do it here and see what we get. So we let x be equal to 0, so we get y is equal to 0 minus 1, which is equal to minus 1. All right, so now we end up with a point, and then x is 0, so x is 0, and then y is minus 1. Y is minus 1. Now this is a point on the graph. Okay, so what is the second step? Second step is you need to find find what? Find X intercept. And then how to do this? You let y be equal to 0. Now let's do it for this one. So you had y is equal to x minus 1. So you let y to be 0. So you end up with 0 is equal to x minus 1. When you take 1 to the side, you end up having 1 is equal to x. Remember, you took x this side, and then this x was negative. So when it goes to the side, what is going to be? It's going to be positive. And then this is just the same thing as x is equal to 1. 1 is equal to x is equal to the same as x is equal to 1, right? Okay, so you end up with another point, and then this point, our x here is 1, and then what is our y? Our y is 0. So you've got 2 points. Okay, so when you are doing this during the exam, make sure that you show all of these things like this. You say y-intercept, and then let x be equal to 0, and then show how you found your y-intercept, and then say x-intercept, and then show how you did find your x-intercept, and then you get your point. So this is also a point on the graph. All right, so you've got 2 points now. So let us now plot it. Okay, so how do we plot it? Let us see if we can find something that we can plot on. Okay, let's try this one. Okay, here are the points. We have them. It's this one and this one. Let's see. Okay, so we've got our y here. This is y, and then we've got our x-intercept here, and then we've got 0. Okay, and then we've got 1 here. Let's say 1 2 1 2, and then minus 1 minus 2, and then let's just say 1 2, and let's just say minus 1, and then minus 2, and try to make sure that these lines are more or less the same, just so that it looks nice. They do not necessarily need to be the same, but just to make it look nice. Okay, so what is our first point? Let's use another color, so it's nearly the same. So our x is 0, so our x is 0 here. And what about our y? Our y is minus 1, so that means this is where our point is. Let me just put the circle here just to show where it is. So we've got our first point. Now where is our second point? Our second point is 1, so x is 1 here. Okay, and then y is 0 here. So where these points meet is here. So we got another thing here, right? And then, so what we then do, we can, you must take your ruler. Don't worry about me, I am not a learner, but you must take your nice ruler and put it here, and then you need to combine this line like this. Aha, there you go. And then you must then, after that, you must then label your points. So for example here, you must know that you've got x, that is 1, and then y, that is 0, and then here you've got x, that is 0, and then you've got y, that is what? Your y is minus 1, and then the name of your equation is y is equal to x minus 1. Right, so you did plot your graph, right? And then after plotting your graph, and then you've labeled everything, then everything is fine. So when I mark as a marker, I will mark your points, and then I'll mark your labeling, and then I'll mark your shape. Okay, some people even put arrows there that this goes this side and then it goes this side. It doesn't matter. You must just make sure that you follow your teacher. If your teacher does want to see this, then it's okay. If your teacher doesn't, then it's also okay. It depends on what your teacher prefers. So basically, what we were doing here, we're trying to plot a linear function, and then we said what we do, we find the x-intercept and we find the y-intercept. It's only those two things. Once you find the x-intercept, find the point of the x-intercept, and then you find the y-intercept, and then you find the point of the y-intercept. That says you find the point here, and then here is another point, and then just plot the graph and then label it and label the points, and then you are done. Now let us do the second part. Let's say now we didn't have all of these things. Let's say what we had is just this graph. Just this graph as it is. And for the purposes of what we are doing here also, let us pretend that we're not given the equation. So let's see. So I'm trying to teach you how to find the equation when you are given what? When you are given a graph itself, because you're gonna need those skills, because those skills are required. Let's put it like this. You are only given this. All right. And then the question says find f at x, which is a function here. Some people may call it f at x. They can call it g at x also. It's also fine. Or they can say find y is equal to mx plus c. It's fine. Okay. So you must be careful. In some cases, you will be told that this is a straight line. But in some other cases, you will need to see for yourself that this is a straight line and then take it like that. Okay, let's say you were not told that this is a straight line. They just say find f at x, and you do not know what it is. Now, when you look at this graph, you can see what is it? It is a straight line. Okay, it is a straight line. So if it's a straight line, then it's going to be in a form of y is equal to mx plus c. Okay, it's gonna be in a form of y is equal to mx plus c, and then you know that m is a gradient and then c is what? Is a y-intercept. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there are many ways in which you can do this. I'm not going to delve into all of them. I'm only going to look at just one method, and then the rest you can do it. So basically, what am I saying to you? I'm saying to you, the way I'm going to do this problem, it's not the only way of doing such problem. There are other ways. It's just that I'm going to look at only one way, and then take it from here. Okay, so what I can do is I will start looking for m. All right, and then as I remember that m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and then between these points, let me make this point 0.2, and let me make this point 0.1. So if this point is 0.1, therefore the y of 0.1 is what? Is minus 1. So I'm going to say minus 1, and then minus, and then the y, I'm talking nonsense. Okay, I'm talking nonsense. Let me start afresh. This is to show that we can also make mistakes. Okay, this is 0.2, this is 0.1. So let's go to point 2 and look for the y of point 2. What is y of point 2? Is 0. So we're going to have 0 and then minus. Now we're going to minus y1. So we said this is point 1. So what is y of point 1? Is minus 1. So we're gonna say what? We're gonna say minus 1. And then the x of point 2, we said this is point 1, this is point 2. So what is the x of point 2? Is 1. So we're gonna say 1, and then go to point 1 and then look for the x of point 1, which is x1. And then the x of point 1 is what? Is 0. So 0 minus 1, you're gonna end up with 1 over 1 minus 0 is 1, and then our answer here is 1. So our m, therefore our m is equal to 1, right? So our m is equal to 1. All right, so what are we going to do? We are going to then take this m and update our formula. Remember, what are we doing here? We are finding m, and then after finding m, we'll find what? We'll find c. So we're gonna have y is equal to 1x plus c. All right, 1x plus c. All right, so now let us find, we now got this, we need to find c now. So how are we going to find c? So in order to find c, we are going to pick any point, as long as that point lies on the line. We can pick this point or we can pick this point, it doesn't matter. And then we're going to substitute it into this equation, and then we'll find the value of c. Now let's try and do that. Let's pick this point. So we will substitute the point that x, where x is 0 and then y is minus 1. So how are we going to do it? In a place of y, we're going to put minus 1. So we're going to say minus 1 is equal to, and then 1. And then in the place of x, what do we put? We put this 0. Put 0 and then plus c. And then 1 times 0 is 0. 0 plus c is c. We're going to end up with c here and then minus 1. So what does it mean? This means that c is equal to minus 1. So we then take the c and then we need to substitute it here. So overall, what is our overall equation? So our overall equation is now what? Our overall equation, I'm going to put it here. So we got y is equal to 1x minus 1, which is same as x minus 1. So our overall function is, and then obviously because we are supposed to find f at x, so f at x is going to be x minus 1. F at x is equal to x minus 1 and y is equal to x minus 1. It's one and the same thing. So, and then I just want to look at if this is the same as what we have here. Ta-da! There we go. Can you see? Yes, it's the same. Okay, now let's wrap things up here. What did I say to you? If you are given a graph and you need to find the equation, in a case of a linear equation, what you need to find is m, and then when you find m, update the equation, and when you finish with updating the equation, then you need to find c. Let me just write these things down so that we have something written down. I know you learners like having things written down just to make things easy for you. Given a graph, find f at x. Which is equal to, in this case, mx plus c. So how to do that? Step number 1, find M, the gradient. And then number 2, now when you've found in M, update. Let's just say put in substitute it into y is equal to mx plus c to update it. Now step 3, so now you've got an updated y is equal to mx plus c, which no longer has m, but which has a numerical value because you've already found what m is. Now what do you do next? You substitute any point in the graph to find what? To find C. And remember guys, I said substitute any point, and any point means any point. So this is how you find an equation if you are given a graph. All right, and then we will do the same thing with other functions as well. I'm going to teach you how to how to plot the function if you have been given the equation, and then I'm going to also show you how to find the equation if you have been given what? If you have been given a graph. I'm going to do it for all other graphs. I was doing it now for linear equations. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in, and if you have any questions or you've got any comments, you can comment below in our comment section. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in, and enjoy the rest of your day, and good night and goodbye and good day, whatever day you are watching this thing. Thank you very much.